Yeah, certainly, and I think you know where you started there, and and I think you made a great point. You know, hearing some of your poetry, and obviously you've released and you've published a number of books, which we'll come to. Is you definitely the stuff that you write about is real. It's there. That's relevant to people who read it. You know, it's not not that there will be anything wrong with poetry about living on Mars, but the stuff you're talking about is real life, and the stuff that you're writing about is real life. And I think that has a connection with a viewer, which is great. Going on, picking up on the point you were talking about, you made a couple of points about if somebody wants to be a writer or wants to, you know, move into this field. So the big question is, because obviously we're all in self-isolation, lockdown, or whatever we want to call it now, but those creative juices are still flowing in people out there. If people wanted to get into writing or wanted to, you know, think they've got that ability and want to practice, whether it's for fun, whatever, what would be your top tips for people? Yeah, can you give us sort of a few of the things that, like, yeah, definitely this will help you, whatever that might be?
I think you just got to, I know this sounds like a massive cop out, but you just got to write. Just go for it and just try. And then there's tons of stuff. I mean, yeah, like you say, we're on lockdown. Ordinarily, you might be able to go and do a writing workshop. There's always like lots of people doing writing workshops, but I mean, there's lots of stuff online though. So if you wanted to get some inspiration in terms of writing exercises, things like that, there's tons of stuff online. And the thing and also, you know, and again, this sounds like an obvious thing, but it's about reading as well. If you want to write poetry, you've got to read poetry. You've got to have a grounding of what's out there already and what kind of things are effective. And it's also it's putting your ego to one side, you know. There is this idea of, I guess, anybody that wants to be a writer, it kind of feels as though in some ways that is a slightly egotistical thing to sort of do, you know. But it's about, because a lot of people talk about this idea of writer's block. And I don't believe in it. I never have. There's no such thing as writer's block. You know, I think Stephen King talked about this as well, or a similar sort of. He talked about it in a similar sort of sense, in that there is no such thing as writer's block. What there is writer's ego. It's your ego getting in the way. If this is what I mean by you have to write. You have to be prepared to make mistakes. Writing is editing. So what you write initially might not be brilliant, might not be very good, but there will be a spark in there that you can take and shape and edit. You know, every novel you've ever written, the most perfect novel you've ever written, started out being not so good. And the reason it is so good now is because it was edited and worked on. It's about having that patience, but realizing that what you're going to write first off is not going to be the artistic genius thing you think it's going to be. It will be rougher. So you just got to work on that and iron out those kind of those rough bits and make it and polish it and make it better. So it's about understanding that it's a long process. It's not about, you know, I think poetry is deceptive sometimes because, you know, for me, poetry is a good word, I think, but sometimes the word poem doesn't do it justice. You know, you might spend a couple of months, right? I've had commissions where I've been commissioned to write a specific piece, and it's took me a couple of months to write it, and there's a lot of hard work in that, and that's not a complaint. That's just a fact. But it's about understanding that it is a long haul. Like I said, poem. The word poem doesn't always do it justice. It sounds like a small thing, a throwaway thing that you do in an afternoon, and it's not. That's not necessarily the case. So it's just that hard work, endeavour, and putting your ego to one side to try and try new things. You know, the worst thing you can do as a writer as well is get into the habit of only writing in a particular way. Developing your style and your voice is one thing, but if you never try new things, then it becomes boring. And why do that? You know, you might as well do another job if you're just going to do the same thing every day.